I made a king cake. I made a king cake.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the other one, I think.
Well, I did. It's worth mentioning more than one podcast. I made a king cake. Yeah.
Here we are, Abe. Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports and Super Bowl LIX. More like Super Bowl LIX ass. Or Super Bowl
Dicks.
sucks. My name is Bob, sitting across the way from my good friend and co-host. That's Abe. How you doing tonight, Abe?
Doing well, Bob.
Yeah. Here we are. Lori's here, too. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I think what you were looking for is game recognized fame.
That makes almost as much sense as the lyrics to the Toto hit from 1983, Africa.
Go Dogs!
If you'd like to know more about Africa and Toto, the song, not the continent, check out brainiron.substack.com, where we will have posted at some point this week the Billboard Hot 100 game, making its glorious return, not to the cast iron balls nor the cast iron brains, but to its very own feed, wherein the copyright monsters, I hope, won't come knocking down our doors. But we don't care about that just yet. It is Monday, February 10th, 2025. It is the day after the Super Bowl, and we are here to talk all about it. Abe, you have a good weekend?
Yeah, a quiet weekend other than the Super Bowl on Sunday, but
What'd
That
you
was
do for
loud.
What'd you do for the big game?
I watched it.
At the house with your own television?
Yeah.
No
Yes.
Super Bowl party?
Yes. By the way, I have YouTube TV, the streaming service. I think you guys have it also. But there was some sort of advertisement saying that if you watch the Super Bowl on Tubi, you get the 4K version at no additional cost. With YouTube
Was
TV,
that game better?
you got to fork up, I guess, like an extra $10 to get
Yeah,
that
they want
package.
another $10 a month on top of the constantly raising prices that they're doing over there at the Google. Bad
Right,
people.
it should be standard at this point. But I was like, hey, why not? You know,
If
It's
they
like-
if they shove another $10 surcharge, like another price hike next time without giving you something,
yeah,
like because it's been like 3 in a row where it's like, hey, it's just going to cost more now. You're not going to get any more stuff.
Yes.
Oh, and also, if you have the Google TV, there's like 100 free channels of stuff over there that you could just go watch if you prefer. And they've got news and live television. Also that. But pay more for YouTube
Yeah.
TV, by the way.
Every once in a while, they'll add some channels and they know you'll never watch, and to say like, oh, look at all this added value. But it's like, I'm not watching that shit. Like VH1 1983 only. Like you're
Okay.
not watching that, but they're gonna add $10 to your bill.
Yeah.
I have a question. I have a programming question.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about the floor now or in the brains episode?
Let's save it for brains because I don't
Okay.
want to talk too much news over. I mean, we'll talk some news, obviously, but like, it's going to be culture heavy kind of night, I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, but so I watched the Super Bowl at home on Tubi.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't like a
How was
big,
the Tubi
get-together.
experience?
It was great. I mean, I did not toggle back and forth.
Does
so
Tubi have live network television? How are they showing you the Fox broadcast on Tubi?
I haven't a clue, but like when you at least on Sunday, I downloaded the app like 30 minutes before the game started. I was like, oh, let's see what this racket is about, and I downloaded the app, and then the first thing that shows is like Super Bowl is live or whatever, and I click on it, and I see like Tom Brady and Michael Strahan doing some awkward tribute thing. I was like, hey, this looks pretty good. I mean,
How weird was that when they're walking down Bourbon Street or whatever it is there? With
I was like, this-
Terry Bradshaw is there.
Yeah.
And so is who else was in the lineup there?
I mean, it was all the Fox Sports
Howie
people,
Long.
right? I mean, Jake Glazer was like in the background. There was a bunch of
yeah, but there was there were celebrities too, not just Fox. There was someone else in that lineup. I can't remember.
Oh, they're not in the
Was it Tom Cruise?
No. Doesn't matter. That was fucking weird, though.
Yeah.
Although,
The reason why I realized, maybe this is what 4K life is like, is because like I could see like I don't know what Tom Brady's doing, but he keeps doing it. Like he should probably quit the. I don't want to say Botox, but whatever he's doing
No,
something.
it's his diet. It's because he doesn't eat.
But he looks like gaunt and like in shape.
He does. It's because he's like
not eating.
It's receding into his skeleton or something. Like he's very much like becoming like the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
The Crypt
Yeah,
Keeper.
So
when
is it
you
diet?
get old, you either get big or skinny,
Right.
and he's getting skinny.
So it's like a diet related thing. Like it's whatever.
He doesn't eat meat.
He had a $740,000 watch on his hand that looked like a little
toy.
price toy, like a child's plaything that apparently cost $750,000. And it looked, as he's waving his arm around trying to hold it up, like, I don't know if I can hold this fucking huge watch up.
80% plant-based foods.
Wow.
80% plant-based foods. That's not healthy.
Yeah.
You need
Well,
to
yeah,
eat
he's-
food.
I'm sure he's quite healthy.
In what way, though? Look at him.
He'll
Like,
probably
yeah,
like
maybe
that
he'll
guy.
outlive all of us, but look at him.
How old was that? I Want to Live Forever guy, something
40
Johnson.
something.
Yeah. So and Tom Brady's like he's got a few years on him. So maybe that's how overly healthy looks. You look unhealthy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure his bowels are fantastic and his organs are working top-notch, but, like, it's not a good look. You need to eat fat.
Tell me more about your thoughts about Tom Brady's bowels.
I don't like him. I never liked Tom Brady. Is this what we're going to do tonight?
I want to see the...
Because I mean, I could go on if you want me to.
He had a good
He
night.
still
Like,
doesn't seem to be enjoying himself.
he's there watching the guy who's supposed to be his rival, and he's eating shit. He's like, oh, this is great. Like my record is intact.
Oh, man, he was pretty bad, though. He didn't bring anything to the broadcast.
He never does.
I know, but like to be
joyless.
fair, that was a dreadful game. Like I mean,
Sure.
if you plug in a better broadcast person, like they wouldn't have done much better.
Yeah, he didn't bring anything to the game.
Right.
Although that's sort of how he does his Super Bowls, right? Like his first Super Bowl, he didn't really bring anything to that game either. That was
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but at least they won. Yeah,
a defensive performance.
yeah. But he got them like wasn't there like a final drive to get Vinatieri the opportunity to kick the field goal? Like there was something that he did like the last drive. You know, he didn't put up a bunch of numbers. That
Yeah.
first
Is this going to
Super
be a
Bowl.
Tom Brady episode, or we can talk about the Super Bowl?
No, yeah, we're talking about the Super Bowl. So your Tubi experience was seamless. I take it.
It was perfect. It was a perfect viewing experience. And again, the product sucked, but it looked great.
Do you know if you were watching the local Atlanta Fox 5 broadcast of it? Like, were you getting the local Atlanta flavor to it, or was it just some weird national feed that you were plugged into?
At no point, I mean, I turned it off when the game ended, so I didn't see what happened later. But like throughout the whole time that I was watching, there was no indication that it was local Fox 5 Atlanta.
Gotcha.
I
I wonder
didn't
how
see
they pulled
anything.
that off. I'm sure that there are. I can probably Google that up and
Wasn't
figure
YouTube
it out.
TV like the sponsor of something? I remember seeing their stupid name.
They were it was like the pregame show.
Yeah,
the Super
I like
Bowl
these fucking
pregame brought
assholes.
to you by YouTube TV. Yeah,
It's like I pay you guys every month. You're not gonna give me 4K for this one game?
we got to watch it in broadcast 4K. I realized a few minutes into the game that we were watching it on YouTube TV, which means that we were behind live to some extent or another. And I was like, in my head, I was like, well, I can go and I can find that button within YouTube TV that's like, hey, make this more live for me instead of worrying so much about buffering or what have you. And I was like, or I could just fucking switch to the antenna and watch the 4K
That's what we
broadcast
did.
version, and that's what we did instead. And that was because it was a cloudless night and no inclement weather or anything. It was a perfect broadcast, and it looked immediately better as soon as you switched
Nice.
off of the streamer.
Streamer.
The Roku box, the streamer, the YouTube
Okay.
TV, whatever. As you're suggesting here, a largely terrible game.
Unless you're an Eagles fan.
Or
Which-
a Georgia defense fan.
Right. But, I mean, like, I saw some stat, like, I guess Philadelphia did not blitz once.
No.
It's remarkable how much pressure they applied and how many sacks they got without blitzing once. It's a remarkable
Their front
night they had.
four just absolutely owned the shit out of that game.
Ari Wasserman said that was a 4-hour recruiting video for Georgia defense.
Yeah, Mahomes never looked comfortable. He was constantly having his own linemen sort of shoved into his calves,
Yeah.
which is like not what you want to see. He threw, I mean, both of those early picks were bad, but like I don't know. Like he just didn't look anything like himself, and it's like he hasn't really looked great the last. Like, when was the last time Mahomes truly looked like Patrick Mahomes?
I think last year.
And it wasn't even last year. Like, it took until, I mean, they had all those drops last year, so it's hard to put it so much on him. But, like, he hasn't looked like the league-dominating force that he was for those 3 or 4 years running in a little while. And last night there was just no indication that this was even a particularly good team. Although, like, the defense kind of held their own. I don't know. The Eagles, they hit plays when they needed to hit plays. That seemed like every time it was 3rd and long,
Yes.
Hurts was making something happen, whether it was like a long bomb down the sideline or just finding A.J. Brown 10 or 12 yards down the field. They just made the plays when they needed to make the plays to stay on the field and possess the ball and then finish drives.
It seemed like the game plan for the Chiefs was to stop Saquon. Like, we're not worried about Hurts.
Like they focused on one thing.
They're not going to kill us over the top. I mean, they were mistaken in that belief, but, like, it seems like they were just adamant about, like, he's not going to get off a big one. We're gonna bottle him.
Yeah, they tackled really well. That's what was weird. It's like it's not like Saquon was breaking tackles all night long. He was largely getting first contact. He was maybe falling forward for 2 or 3 more yards, but for the most part, if somebody met him in the backfield, he was going down in the backfield. And I don't think did he even get over 60 yards by the end of the night?
I think he barely got to 60. I don't know what his final stats were, but it took a while to get his numbers up.
Yeah, Hurts was the leading rusher in the game, 11 carries for 72 yards and a touchdown.
Oh, the MVP.
Yeah, and then 17 of 22 for 220 yards, 2 scores, and 1 pick. Mahomes ends up throwing, having a gaudy stat line to some extent, 21 of 32 for 260, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Not great picks, and then the touchdowns were all basically in garbage time.
Yeah. I mean, the game was, 40-6 at some point? I mean, that was like a truer reflection of the final score. I mean, they basically got destroyed.
Yeah, I barely looked at my phone or second screen at all in the first half, and then like halfway through the third quarter, I went and got my computer just to have something else to do because like I just didn't care to devote all of my attention to the game anymore. I was like, all right, I'll fucking fuck around on VRBO and Airbnb and imagine future vacations or something because this is boring.
Yeah, something more interesting than what's happening on television.
Yeah. Is there, this is a boring narrative. Apparently there are like Jalen Hurts doubters and haters out there who have now been silenced. I didn't realize that Jalen Hurts was dealing with doubters and haters.
You've said he sucked.
I mean,
that.
He's a perfectly fine quarterback, but like he's not going to go out there and like dominate the league or anything like that. Like
you have said for so long that Jalen Hurts isn't good.
He's fine. I just don't. I don't think that this. Like, yes, he had a very good, efficient game.
Yeah.
But like, I don't see him as like. I still don't think he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL,
yes, but
despite this performance.
You're saying like. You thought he was a bad. You've said on this podcast at some point. Like, Jalen Hurts isn't good. He's not a good quarterback.
I think he's a mediocre NFL quarterback. He's
you
like
gave
a top...
him less credit than that.
Yeah, no, this is the question I'm asking. I'm not saying that he sucks. I mean, I joke about quarterbacks sucking when they're not, like, the best quarterbacks. I think Jared Goff fucking sucks. Also, he's probably a top 12 quarterback in the league, you know? Also, he sucks. Same thing with all sorts of other quarterbacks who I am annoyed by. Jalen Hurts, to me, is a perfectly adequate quarterback. The Eagles are stuck with him probably for the next 10 years. Like, he's the kind of guy that you can't get rid of, but you're not going to build your whole world around the Jalen Hurts experience, right? I mean, it's sort of a plug-and-play thing with him where, yeah, he's elusive and can squirt out of there when people start losing contain on him coming in from the like the main thing that he does really well is when he feels that pressure coming in from the outside and he can squirt right down the middle for 10 or 15 yards. Yeah. And he seemed like he did that like 3 or 4 times last night too. And then, he can float the ball up there and have his receivers run under it a whole bunch. But he's not like this crazy accurate world-dominating quarterback. So maybe I am the doubter and the hater in question here, who is supposed to have been silenced by last night's game. But I don't know.
Yeah, what's interesting is that, the Eagles this year, especially during the playoffs, like Saquon did a lot. The defense obviously did a lot. And Hurts is serviceable and sometimes better than serviceable. But it seems like it was like a team effort Super Bowl run here. It wasn't like Lamar Jackson with Baltimore or Josh Allen, where like they have an outsized role in this team success. Like Jalen Hurts is a pivotal part of the team, but he's not an outstanding part of it.
Yeah, and like I just don't like their brand of football on offense either. Like everything essentially coming down to the tush push or the brotherly
what
shove.
A successful! I mean, if you could tush push your way to a Super Bowl, would you not?
Well, yeah, obviously, but
because
it's like
we don't need
the
any
modern
stupid
NBA.
plays.
I don't like watching dudes chuck it up 50 times from 40 feet out either.
But that's okay. So the one difference is like, in football, so much effort is spent on trying to deceive. Like, you don't know what we're gonna do, and like try to figure it out. Like we have all these complex offenses and defenses, and we try to succeed that way. This is a situation where like, hey, our guys are stronger than your guys. What are you going to do about it? We're going to just push our way through. We lift all these weights just like you do, but I guess we lift better. I don't know how it works. And it works like almost always. Like, I don't know in the last time I've seen.
It's weird that other
Eagles
teams don't do it.
It's a time. So I think that the reason that the advantage is extremely on the offensive side when it comes to moving mountains of beef in one direction versus the other is, first of all, they tend to outweigh the defensive side of the ball, right? Just by virtue of, like, this is what offensive lines are. They're the heaviest group of 4 or 5 dudes on the team. And then also they have the advantage of starting first, right? Like they get that little half second of momentum where they know when the snap is going to happen, and then everybody goes forward, and then the defense has to meet that.
No, that's true.
And react to it. So it makes sense to me that you can scrum your way to 2 yards 9 times out of 10.
But that's true for all the other teams, and yet they are more successful at it than any other team.
Well, I wonder if it has something to do with, if it's not necessarily it's a willingness to do it in the face of what seems like potential just like an ACL disaster.
Yeah.
Like, how is it that they haven't blown out various knees throughout this entire
Better
process?
conditioning, I guess.
There was a shot of, I think it was Jones, one of the pass rushers.
Defensive guys.
Yeah, and some trainer was working on his neck because, like, I guess he hit his head the wrong way, and I don't know. I think it happened soon after one of those.
Yeah, it was after the first goal line stand where they got in on the tush push after the long play down the right side to that no-name receiver who, like, there's obviously a million people or millions of people gambling on this game. But for that guy to be the first score would have been such a fucking payout for somebody out there. And he goes down at the fucking 1 yard line because his knee hits. And then, of course, it ends up being it's like, okay, well, it's either going to be Saquon or Jalen at this point. So now there's going to be way more happier people out there because tens of thousands of people had Jalen Hurts as the first score in the game. Nobody had whoever that number 83 was for the Eagles.
But imagine you were that nobody who actually did have it, and then they walk it back. Because as soon as you see the replay, you're like, oh, yeah, he's short. But, like, initially, it was called a touchdown.
Yep.
So you must be like, holy shit. I'm not a degenerate gambler after all. I'm betting on some guy. Well, I didn't even know he was on the team. And so
I made money on the first play of the game and then no more money the rest of the night. I bet that the first play would be a touchback. I made my $5 profit on a $10 bet. And then everything else was in the red for the rest of the evening, which was too bad. But what are you going to do? I had a feeling that this game was going to go the way that it went, even though I picked the Chiefs in our pick'em, which, by the way, congratulations to Cousin Steve, who wins the
Congratulations, Steve.
playoff version of the Cast Iron Balls pick'em contest. Fabulous prize is on the way. Asterisk prize is not fabulous.
It's not.
and there is no prize. But yeah, I had a sneaking suspicion that this was going to get out of hand for the Eagles.
You mean during the game or like?
No, like
Right before.
during Saturday night or during the
Okay.
day on Sunday. For whatever reason, I thought the Eagles were going to win rather handily. But whatever. Not a Super Bowl that we're likely to remember in terms of
no.
like the greatness of the product on the field. It wasn't very exciting or enticing action out there. I did want to say I liked the new Fox bug.
I did too. It grew on me.
It very minimalist and doesn't dominate the screen. It was just basically
I liked it.
a couple of large numbers up there, and then none of the stupid like accoutrement, like where everything is like metal and it's like got sliding gates and stuff on the thing, and everything comes flying in and flying out, and sometimes it even makes fucking noise, and there's like lights and bells and whistles. There was none of that. It was just
I liked it.
the score, and then the team, like it said, KC on one side and PHI on the other, maybe. I thought that was perfectly good.
I didn't care for it, but it was fine because it was so minimalistic. You know, it was just like, all right, whatever.
There's this notion in graphic design that I first read about, I don't know, 20 years ago on the internet. And the idea was that we could be on the verge of being freed from the tyranny of the physical, right? Because like it used to be that like if you're going to have when they had a shot clock or the play clock in the NFL, there would often literally just be a camera that they took
aimed at
they
the shot
aimed
clock.
it at the clock, right? And then they would pop that up in a small corner of the screen, like in a picture-in-picture type of thing.
Right.
That was the original play clock. And so you were sort of beholden to physical reality in that way because you're literally just taking a camera shot of the play clock.
Right.
And then, with the rise of computer graphics and like Fox leading the way more than anybody else with their stupid robot, the Brutus football robot who's always doing stuff.
Walking on the thing, pointing at you.
There's and ESPN is crazy guilty of it, where they pretend like there's
The
these
scaffolding.
crazy amounts of scaffolding. They unfurl these like 200-foot tall. It says Georgia Bulldogs on it, but it looks like
Like
it's
a banner.
this banner that's impossibly large size. Like it's.
But it's not there.
It's not really there, right? But they're
And
pretending
it's
as
not
though
bothering
they're
anybody
very
in the
much
audience.
beholden to physical reality. All of the graphics that they're throwing up on the screen are in direct conversation with a sort of physical object that is recognizable to the brain. What I was excited about 20 years ago, and
He predicted it. Bob predicted.
it was a bad prediction by me, but what I was excited about was like a scoreboard can be anything when it is generated in a virtual space, right? It doesn't have to have any relation to the thing that has been in the stadium for the last 100 years, right? Like, there's almost no reason for it. It allows for an incredible potential display of imagination on behalf of the people who create such things. But for years, for generations now, it's just been scoreboard, like, and it's like metal, physical things. Like the fucking thing slams into the screen, and it like ka-chunk, 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 and the timeout bulbs light up as though like that. Why is there a timeout bulb? It could be literally anything. You could represent it in any way, but they've been so committed to representing physical reality in the virtual space. But last night with that very minimalist score bug, felt like sort of are we pulling back maybe from this necessity of focusing on...
Is Bob's prediction finally coming true?
Right. The first time I thought about this was like 2007. Are we now finally getting to the point where they can be more imaginative? And the only way to get away from this oversaturation of the bug that takes up half the screen is to pull back and maybe reimagine things. I don't know. I was excited to see it.
You know what's interesting is that they had this very minimalistic graphic that looked like it's something out of 40 years ago. Whenever they did this, it just looked very plain. But then the rest of the graphics was still 2025 because they had a two shot. I think they were showing the head coach and a player, and they had this weird. I think it was
the living edge thing that they did. Yeah,
which I think they used for a World Cup and Euro Cup. I've seen it in soccer settings and not American sports settings. So it was weird that they still had a lot of those modern day things that they kept on using, and then they had the basic graphics at the bottom.
And then also when they would cut to Kevin Burkhardt and Brady in the booth, they would show them on Bourbon Street.
What the fuck? I hated that. I hated it. It didn't look like it looked like an empty airport that they made look like Bourbon Street.
Yeah,
it was very shiny.
They've done backdrops of maybe it's, an aerial shot or something, but I've never seen it that specific. It looked like they were about to be in a Street Fighter.
Turn them around, have them facing the wrong direction in the booth. Give us the shot of the field behind them.
Yeah.
Place me in this space. Why do we have to be pretending that they're somewhere that they're not? I don't get it. Anyway.
Or maybe they were at an airport made to look like Bourbon Street. We don't know.
What else did we think about the game? Anything specific to the action on the field that we want to talk about? Not really.
Unfortunately,
game.
not because there was nothing.
Kelsey had a couple of drops, looked like something of a bum there at the beginning, and but to be fair, that often, and they kept saying on the broadcast and then my kids kept saying well, if Chiefs can score here, and then the broadcast is and then they're going to get the ball back after the half. It's they can't get a fucking first down.
Yeah,
they had a first down in the first play or two of the game, and then nothing after that for the entire first half. And it was just a dreadful product to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a lot of willing something to happen. They scored a touchdown, you have a little momentum. I think even the halftime, the crew at the half before the halftime show, they were hey, they opened the second half with a touchdown. That's all, it's going to build some momentum. They're going to do a thing, and then that momentum never came. Actually, the momentum went the other way, where Philly just kept scoring.
I hate the Eagles, obviously, but at no point did it feel like the Eagles were going to pull a Falcons, a 28-3 type debacle. This is a confident bunch who didn't seem like when it's Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons, it's they're very nervous.
Right.
You can sort of feel it. Oh man, I don't know what's going to happen here. Could this really be happening? And then you get the stupid owner coming down from the owner's box, hey guys, I think this is really going to happen. And nope, it's not going to happen. But they weren't about to pull an Atlanta Falcons in that way. Defense was too good, and Mahomes just never quite got it going. All right, should we do a halftime show and commercials, or should we just wrap up this episode and do that in the other show?
Oh, that's a good question.
Is
there any other sports to talk about?
Just the one last thing about not actually the game, but now that the Chiefs failed in their three-peat and peak Tom Brady Patriots did not achieve that, and no other team during the Super Bowl era achieved it. Do you think that that's an impossible goal now? Would you see it in the next 20 years, somebody doing a three-peat? Because it seems like it's a very difficult thing to do, obviously.
It's obviously a very difficult thing to do.
Difficult, but not impossible.
And this was not a great Chiefs team. They won all of these games, but they barely won all of those games, right? It seemed like every week this season.
Yeah, there are all these one-possession games that they would win.
Right. So, I don't think the Eagles are going to necessarily go on some sort of dominant run over the next few years. You still have the Buffalo Bills should be pretty good. The Ravens should be pretty good. The Bengals presumably will bounce back if they can figure out some defense at all. And then, of course, there's the Lions in the NFC, and presumably the 49ers will bounce back as well.
Right. You would basically need a Patrick Mahomes level talent on their rookie contract with a loaded defense, and they're not going up against a seasoned Patrick Mahomes that's going to deny them a Super Bowl on their way out. It's some sort of combination. It has to be the perfect storm.
I still think that if I'm picking a team, that might three-peat in the next decade, I would go with the Chiefs just because, like, to me, as good as Mahomes was from age 25 to 28, like, there's every reason to believe that he can be, that we have yet to see peak Mahomes. That as good as he was in his mid-20s, like he's could be becoming a smarter quarterback.
But his ankles.
Yeah, and also like he would have to be like a zealot when it comes to his like physical kind of regimen.
Well, he
like
is, I think. But
I mean,
still.
going into his 30s, and also like, come on, he has peaked. I mean, you think he's gonna have a second peak?
He's probably got another 4 or 5 years of absolute peak.
Of top tier, but not like at his peak. I think he's. Yeah.
We don't know.
Maybe, who knows? But they've got to surround him with a better product out there. Like, that's
but also, like, I mean, how much longer? I mean, I guess Andy Reid can go for a few more years, but like, I mean, he's not going to be coaching forever either.
Yeah, man, DeAndre Hopkins with a drop on his first Super Bowl touch was brutal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like just a totally unacceptable, wide open. Like maybe he runs to the house if he makes that catch and can make one dude miss.
Yeah.
But like just complete, like, and it was at that moment. I don't know exactly when that happened.
It was early.
But when DeAndre Hopkins, they were already down a couple of scores.
Yeah, it was in the first like quarter.
But Hopkins drops that ball. I was like, oh, this isn't happening. Like whatever else happens tonight,
right.
I don't think it's going to be that the Chiefs mount some sort of stirring comeback because you can't have that out of the future Hall of Famer there.
Yeah.
All right. So do we want to do Kendrick and commercials, or do we want to save that for the other show? I don't care.
I don't care even more.
What are we going to do with cast iron balls now that there's no football?
Well, we have. Wait, I have an idea. Don't do it.
We got
and
baseball coming. I don't know. Surely there's a sports topic to talk about once a week.
There isn't.
Get together on Wednesdays or Thursdays and just chat.
No, because
enjoyably.
we could just watch. Bob, did you know there's a show called The Floor? That we get.
You can always reabsorb
now.
the sports topic into the brains.
Yeah.
Just don't for a little while, and then baseball.
I mean, the engine of the balls is the college football NFL pairing, like in the fall.
It's true.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. I was amused, Abe, you sent along a clip of Anthony Davis getting hurt just by standing there on a basketball court as someone goes driving by him in his first appearance for the Dallas Mavericks.
There is no other player I can think of in all the years of watching Anthony Davis play. He is always writhing in pain. Either somebody like barely touches him, or it's a non-contact thing, or sometimes it's an actual thing. But he's like very fragile. And so that's what made the trade for somebody more durable, or like somebody more reliable rather, than the fat Slovenian, ridiculous. Because it's like, this guy, you can't rely on this guy either. What do you mean? Like, this guy gets injured all the time. And then on the first game as the Dallas Mavericks, he gets hurt, and now he's going to be out a month or maybe longer, or maybe for the rest of the season. Just a disastrous turn of events for Dallas.
Yeah.
This is actually perfect because this is, like Abe said, you roll balls back into brains. We do that by the Super Bowl halftime show and commercials over there. And then when it becomes overwhelming again in the fall, we split it out.
All right, we'll see. I will say Nick Sirianni.
Bob doesn't like him.
Still an unpleasant fellow. Don't care for Nick Sirianni and his emotional. And like, he's just a deeply unpleasant person, it seems to me. I don't know. I'm sure he's lovely in person.
How is he different from the song Africa?
I would have to think about that. I don't have a good answer to that.
Okay.
I like the song Africa.
All right, that's one way.
That's one way.
There we go.
You've been listening to Cast Iron Balls, a podcast about sports. Bob and Abe, Lori's here too. Head on over to brainiron.substack.com for more from us, including the Billboard Hot 100 game. Now its very own thing. If you go sign up for the emails at brainiron.substack.com. The opening and closing themes of the show were composed by Mark Gillig, tetramermusic.com for more from him. Abe, anything else in the world of sport catch your eye this week?
This is, I know, a product of like searching or reading articles about low ratings in the NBA. But I just got an article that just happened to come to my feed somehow. I forget where. about the NHL struggling with ratings also. Apparently, things are in pretty bad shape when it comes to ratings in the NHL. They said that the opening night of the NHL this year was down like almost 40% compared to the previous year, and they focused on one night to kind of to drive the point home. There was a back-to-back. There was like a college women's basketball game, Iowa State, Kansas State, that drew 400,000 viewers, which is, whatever for college women's basketball.
How?
And then,
How are there 500,000 people who want to watch that game?
I don't know, but there was a hockey game that followed that did 175,000 views, which they said that they could find like just infomercials that do higher numbers than that.
Right.
And this
That's
was
just people just left the television
Right,
on and they
yeah.
went about their lives by accident. Yeah.
Now, I mean, a lot of ratings are going down across the board. I mean, the one exception is the NFL. I think they were down maybe a few million whenever the final numbers come out for the Super Bowl. But like that's probably because
Fox is this is just posted to The Athletic just now.
Oh.
Fox Sports projects record audience of 126 million for Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl.
So it went up. Okay, I saw some estimates saying that it was down a couple million from last year. So last year was what, 120-ish? And now it's about 6 million more?
This makes Sunday's game the most watched Super Bowl of all time, topping last year's Super Bowl audience of 123.7 million viewers on CBS. Marks the second consecutive Super Bowl to set a new audience record. 2 years ago, Chiefs-Eagles drew a record 115.1 on Fox.
So and I think it's the only television product where the ratings are going up is the NFL, and I'm sure college football, but they don't break them down like they do with the NFL and every other sport. I don't know how baseball is doing, but like the NBA is down, NHL is down. I bet you Major League Soccer is down. Seems like everybody just watching this football thing and nothing else.
Super Bowl LIX peaked at 135.7 million viewers from 8 to 8:15 in the second quarter per the network. Imagine if it had been a good game.
Right.
It really could have held on to some audience.
8 to 15 of the halftime window? What that sounds...
That's second quarter, they said.
Okay.
Fox also cited a record audience for streaming viewership as the company announced Tubi alone delivered 13.6 million viewers, while Tubi and NFL digital properties combined for 14.5 million, which means that 13.6 million watched on Tubi and 900,000 watched on whatever bespoke NFL app they've got running around out there. That's quite a number. I didn't read this article. I saw some people talking about the way that we watch the Super Bowl collectively has changed, where 30 years ago, everybody went to a fucking Super Bowl party. Like everybody was like it was a big out of house event, or it was a big event at your house with all of your neighbors and family. Like everybody fucking came. But now it's not like you have to go to the guy in the neighborhood or in your family who's got the big TV.
We all have big TVs.
Everybody's got the big fuck TV if they want one.
Everything did get better. You're right.
But it's a different sort. It's like we're bowling alone now, right? Like it's the Derek Thompson thing about how people
but I have a big TV.
We are more, so-called more connected than ever, but doing far more things alone. And it's kind of a bummer. Like a few years ago, I wanted to invite like Calvin's little buddies over.
We did.
To watch the game. I think we did. Did one of them?
We did.
Did anybody come?
Yeah, they all came. We didn't get to watch the football because the people were at the house.
I don't remember this.
It was the COVID year. It was after Thanksgiving. It was like 2021. It's like, well, we might as well, because we were so starved for human interaction.
Yeah.
Like it made sense to have them over for Super Bowl.
It also never quite made sense where it's one of the biggest drinking days of the year for the American adult population, but everybody leaves their house to do it. Like, not a great combination of things.
That's right.
So maybe it is better in that way also.
It's better because it means we all have big TVs.
I know, but it just... I think it's safe to say, without being overly sentimental about it, that something is lost when...
Well, we should invite Brian, your friend Brian, your Giants friend.
He's got a much nicer house than we do. If he wants, if there's going to be a Super Bowl party somewhere, it should be at their place.
That's true. Their house is way nicer than ours, and I hear they have like a cool basement.
It didn't end well for the Falcons, but I do wonder if it makes a difference if there's like a rooting interest. Because the last time that we had a big get together that I attended was the Falcons Super Bowl in Atlanta. Because everybody was like, "Hey, let's all watch this." Like if you lived in Kansas City, would you be more likely to do a thing with other people?
Yeah, a lot of people would. I'm opposite. If I care, I would rather be by myself. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right, Abe, have you got anything else for us tonight?
Nope.
I guess that's all we've got for you tonight, then. We will talk to you next time.
Later.
I'm sure his bowels are fantastic and his organs are working top notch, but like, it's not a good look. You need to eat fat.
Tell me more about your thoughts about Tom Brady's bowels.
I don't like him. I've never liked Tom Brady. Is this what we're going to do tonight?
I want to see the...
Because I mean, go on if you want me to.
The proceeding was created with 100% human content.